Hello everyone, and welcome. I do apologize for the background noise, but welcome to my review of Horrible Bosses 2. And basically, I saw this yesterday with two of my friends, and basically and honestly, I was going and expecting this film very open-mindedly. I did not expect this to be anything great. I just wanted to see a good comedy with two of my closest friends, and we saw it. And let's adjust the screen here. Alright, and basically, to say of this is that I did not expect this to be anything great. I just wanted to have a good fun time in the theater with two of my friends. And I thought this film was fairly fine for what it was. Now, my friend did not like this film, but he at least acknowledged it was funny at times. I will say this is a fine film. This is a decent film. There's some good and there's some bad. And basically, let's start with the story, which is basically, going back to the original or following through the original. And basically, it's like about these characters played by Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, and Jason Sudeikis going to business for themselves, and after demonstrating that prototype for an invention called the Shower Buddy, which you see in the beginning of the film, they basically attract the attention of Rex Hansen. Wait, who is it? Yeah, whatever. And basically, they get the attention of Rick Hansen, played by Chris Pine, and his father, Bert, played by Christoph Waltz. And basically, they take investments into the product and then cancel the order and steals their idea. And yet now heavily in their own debt with no legal recourse. I'm just reading off the internet right now. And Kurt decided to kidnap Rex and use the ransom money to pay off the loans. And basically, that's where the story goes. You see a bunch of these hijinks and all this type of hijinks and what type of stuff occurs. And basically, I will say this: the strongest point of this film is the acting, and you cannot deny that there is some really good acting. Jason Sudeikis, Jason Bateman, and Charlie Day, they all are really, really funny, and they all work off. These three guys work off each other really. They are very, very good. Like, of course, they're no wolf pack from The Hangover. But they still are really, really funny, and they still have some really great chemistry together. When you see them bounce off each other, there's some really great laughs within the movie. And for me, I felt like they were the strongest part of the film. Like, of course, it's the characters that are the most important. And they were pretty good. You see those characters in the film, you see, what's his name? What's the actor's name? I forgot. Jamie Foxx. You see Jamie Foxx's character, and basically, and of course, like you are also recording characters from the first Horrible Bosses film. You like I said, Jamie Foxx's character. You see Kevin Spacey for a bit, and then you also see Jennifer Aniston's character, and they all are really, really good. They all have their own strengths in the film that they are all really, really funny at times. And also the acting from the two Typhoon type of guys, from Christoph Waltz and Chris Pine, they're also really, really good. Chris Pine plays this total psychopath type of character who likes to really screw these guys over eventually in the film, or likes to screw people over in the film. It's really, really funny. I now have my perverted mind on that, but whatever. What I'm trying to say is that basically he's a little minor spoiler, but he's the type of guy who deliberately cause things to himself and type of blame it on other people. And there's like his character is so over the top, and yet it's just so enjoyable to watch him. Now, I'm the only one that at one point I thought I heard one of the characters call him Kirk at one point. I'm not so sure. Like he played Kirk in Star Trek Into Darkness, and this, like, if they call him Kirk, that'd be pretty funny. And then you have Christoph Waltz as his dad, and I think he's a bit underplayed. Like, I thought he gave a decent performance, but I kind of thought to myself, any other actor could fill the role for him. Like, and then, like, I would say about 65% of the time, the humor does hit really well, but it's like 35% of the time it kind of doesn't. There's a lot of awkward, and there's really, of course, type of shock humor moments. Like, if it's gonna be raunchy, it's gonna be funny, right? No, you gotta take precautions, and you gotta take certain expectations into your jokes. And sometimes some type of jokes won't always hit, and it won't be funny. And I think the film tries to play all of his cards at the comedy points. And it's like I said, 65% of the time it does hit, 35% of the time it does not. And some of those are they're just pretty off. I won't say they're self-offensive, but they're pretty awkward or badly executed. Like, it could have been good on paper. It's like, oh, that sounds clever, let's bring it to the film. No, it's not everything. Some things can sound better on paper, and some things can sound better on film. You need to understand that before you put it into the film. My point is that you've got to understand that transition of running to being and says, hey, that sounds good, but as soon as you put it into the film, that may sound a bit off or something. Basically, that's one of the things that kind of does hinder the film, is that there's moments where the comedy is not that great. And I'm not saying it's offensive, because a lot of critics are saying this film is really, really offensive, but I'm straight up saying it's not offensive, it's just bad humor at times. Now, don't get me wrong, the moments when they were funny, they were really freaking funny. They had me laughing on the ground. But my point is that I felt like some of the comedy at times was just severely lacking, or it was just too much off on a certain scale for it. And one of my other complaints about the film is that there's a point where I'm just like, and there we go, and then it's like, no, we keep going. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? This film is literally 2 hours, I think. It's around 110, 120 minutes, and it doesn't have to be that long. And like by the last 15, 20 minutes point, I'm like, you know what? You could have stopped right there, and that could have been it. That could have been a good running time. But no, it kind of played on a bit too long for its own limits, and it kind of worked against the film at times. And there's a few moments where I've been like, that can be easily cut out. And there's some moments where it's kind of like it's so contrived, and it's a bit forced at times. Like the emotional type of weight would happen between Charlie Day's character and his wife. But aside from that, there's some really good writing at times, and there's a point from the 30-minute point where I was just like, I do not know where the film is going. I really do not know. Granted, I saw a certain twist coming, which, by the way, I won't spoil, but there's a point, like the first 30 or 40 minutes, where I'm like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I really, really don't. And for me, that's actually a good thing. I kind of put a bit of faith into the film of the story. I just did not know where it was legitimately going. And the way it kind of tinkered throughout the film actually kind of did surprise me. And some of it, like how I said, there's one that I kind of saw coming, but there's some moments where, with the story itself, I personally thought was actually pretty good for its own self. And so I did have a bit of faith within the story, and it did kind of surprise me by the end. And there's some points where they would bring out a certain point where it was like, them basically planning out to ransom out with Christoph Waltz character with this big elaborate type of scheme. and it's just so wild, and this is so unbelievable that it left me kind of like, I kind of have to believe that. It's like, I gotta see what happens now. Even if it backfires, I gotta see it. It's just too funny and too elaborate. And this film is generally trying at times. And this film on Rotten Tomatoes has a 35%, or 36%. And I kind of think that's a bit too harsh, but yeah, whatever. There's some problems, I do admit, but bouncing on with what is good. It is generally good at times, like a good story, and a good, interesting story, and it has some great humor at times, and has some great characters. The best, my personal opinion, the best characters were definitely Chris Pine's character, and the three main characters, Jason Sudeikis, have it up here, Jason Sudeikis, Jason Bateman, and Charlie Day, and together, those three together were definitely the best characters in my opinion. For me, those three really, they carry out the film within their own right. And I also want to say, not just those three were the best characters, but Chris Pine was just so hysterical and such a psychopath that I just couldn't help myself but laugh at times. Also, like, of course, Jennifer Aniston is just gorgeous. She's super sexy in the film. Like, seriously, guys, she's really sexy. I'm admitting that. She's beautiful. And, like I said, strong characters, a good story, and a decent plot with some good humor at times. Although it did run its course a bit too long at times, and there was some humor that did not work out for its own right. However, in my view, and of course there was a moment where it was kind of contrived and a bit obvious. But aside from that, I want to say that Horrible Bosses 2 is not horrible at all. Was that bad? Joke? I don't know. But the thing is that is this a movie? A lot of people are saying this is not a good movie. Honestly, it's a decent film. I would personally say, or I would personally give Horrible Bosses 2 a 60%. It's, for me, in my view, it's just a pass. It's a slight pass, but not very much. It's still on certain ways still not that great. But I do feel like I'm happy I gave the film a chance, and I did end up in the end smiling. So for me, I felt like it was well worth my time. Would I see it again? No. Would I see a third one? Probably, but what's its point? Like, I really don't know. But for me, it seemed like, it's a fine movie. I would say, would I recommend it? I would say if you have some friends and you just want to have a good time in the theater and just laugh at a fun movie, then I would say yes. But if you want to see something a bit more challenging, a bit more smarter, no. But in the end, I would say, in my view, it is good to see. And I would say I would definitely give Horrible Bosses, like I said before, a 60%. And I would definitely say overall, I would give it a pass. And I would say check it out. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's definitely worth your time, but I would say in the end, it's decent for what it is. Just don't expect too much going into this film. This is my review of Horrible Bosses, everyone. I gave it a 60%, and I hope you enjoyed my review of this film. I'm sorry if I rambled on a bit too long. It got a little bit too long now, but in the end, I like this film, and here's hoping for a third. I don't know. I don't really care if they make a third one or not, but I'm just saying, if they do make a third, I will see it. In the end, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, and remain strong.